Hi, everyone. I'm Jan with the Prince George County Memorial Library System. Thank you for joining us for another Children's Readers Advisory. Today, my focus will be on African American authors and African American characters. My first book is called The Only Black Girls in Town by award-winning author Brandy Colbert. Surfer lover Alberta is the only Black girl in town for years now. Her best friend and surfer lover, Laramie, who is white, can't understand everything in Alberta's life. When the house across the street has new neighbors, Alberta is excited to find out the new owners are a Black family. Alberta is sure she and the daughter, Edie, will be fast friends. At the same time, Alberta and Laramie aren't sure where their friendship is going with Edie in the picture. When Edie finds an old box in the attic, she and Alberta discover secrets from the past. Read this story not only to learn what happens between Alberta, Edie, and Laramie, but find out what they discover in the box. So again, this is called The Only Black Girls in Town by award-winning author Brandy Colbert. Okay. My next book is called Forgotten Girl by India Hill Brown. And I'm actually going to do two books by her. This first one, though, R.L. Stine, who is the author of the Goosebumps series, says, this ghost story gave me chill after chill. It will haunt you. Iris and her best friend Daniel sneak out one cold winter night, to play in the freshly fallen snow. Iris makes a perfect snow angel, only to find out she did it right over the crumbling grave of Avery Moore. After that, strange things begin to happen, such as Iris seeing the ghostly image of a girl beckoning her to follow. Both Iris and Daniel start to research the area for a school project. They find a neglected and forgotten cemetery for Black people, dating back to a time when white and Black people not only lived separate lives, but were buried in separate cemeteries. Follow Iris and Daniel to see if they can help restore the cemetery and finally put Avery's spirit to rest. Again, this is called Forgotten Girl by India Hill Brown. Okay, so the next book I want to do, same author. So if you like ghost stories, here we go. This is called The Ghost in the Lake. And Miss Brown obviously likes writing ghost stories, and I like both of her stories. So anyway, Celeste, her brother Owen, and two other cousins spend 2 weeks at the grandparents' house on the lake. Having grown up during segregation, including public pools, they expect the kids to know how to swim. Well, Celeste has just failed her swimming lessons, and she doesn't want to go anywhere near the pool. Then strange things begin to happen, and everyone thinks Celeste is behind the pranks. She says, nope, not her. When the kids find an old picture of a girl who looks exactly like Celeste, they all become scared. Can they come together after a not so good start to their vacation and find a way to unlock the truth of what's happening? Again, this is called The Girl in the Lake by India Hill Brown. I love ghost stories. I hope you do too. Anyway, let's see now. Let's go on to a series, and I have the first two. There's only two of the books. This first one is called J.D. and the Great Barber Battle by J, the initial J, Dillard. Kirkus Review says this book is a surefire win of a read, expressly made for young Black boys to cherish. And Mr. Dillard himself is a master barber who started cutting his own hair at 10 and then professionally later on. And this, like I said, this is the first in the series. The day before third grade, JD gets his first haircut. The problem? Mom does a haircut and his hair doesn't look good when she's done. After many insults from classmates at school, JD decides he'll fix his haircut himself. The result? Great. Now, when one of his friends tries cutting his own hair, JD needs to fix the friend's hair. Now all JD's friends want him to do their hair. The problem? Henry Jr., from the only barbershop in town, sees JD as competition and threatens to go to the health department because obviously JD, at 9 years old, doesn't have a license to do hair. How should JD solve this problem? After all, he's making money from doing haircuts, and JD doesn't want to give up the money. Read this first book to see if JD can continue his business, keep his business afloat. And again, this is JD and the Great Barber Battle. Now, let's go on to the second book here in the series. And like I said, that right now there's only 2 of the series. And this is called JD and the Family Business. Now, obviously I can't say a whole lot about this book because then I have to give away too much information about JD and the Great Barber Battle. So, did JD win the Great Barber Battle? And if so, what makes him move on to a family business? Can he succeed in doing a new business? I like this book as much as I like the first book, so I know you will too. And again, this is called JD and the Family Business by J, the initial J, Dillard. Okay. This book is called Before the Ever After by Jacqueline Woodson. And this, I really like the illustration on the front because this is symbolic of what's happening to ZJ's father. His father has CTE, that's the letter C as in cat, T as in Tim, and E as in experience. And it is a brain disease that only gets worse over time. People can get this disease by having such things as too many concussions while they're playing football. So, and yes, this book is told in verse. I don't know if you can see that it's told in verse, but each sentence builds on the other, and it's not poetry, it's really wonderfully written. So, but on to telling you a little about the story. At first, ZJ, that's the letter Z as in zebra, J as in John, really likes that his father is a famous football player because now people want to be friends with ZJ. Then his father starts having anger outbursts and can't remember certain things because of head injuries from football. If his father can't remember the things they've done together, JD doesn't know what their future holds. Yes, even though this book literally had me on the verge of tears, Before the Ever After by Jacqueline Woods is a wonderfully told story. Okay, let's see. My next book is called The True Definition of Neva Bean by Christine Kendall. And Miss Kendall is also the author of Writing Chance, which was nominated for an NAACP Image Award in the category of Outstanding Literacy Work for Youth Teens. In this coming of age story, 12-year-old Neva's world is changing. She struggles with her ever-changing body, her friendship, and a family who want to stay strong among turbulent backdrop of activism across generations. Neva finds comfort in words and the meetings. Using her personal beloved dictionary, Neva must discover the best way to define herself. And again, this book is called The True Definition of Neva Being by Christine Kendall. My next book is Jaylee Jumps In by Joy Jones. Miss Jones started her own double Dutch team called the DC Retro Jumpers. And yes, she is local to the area. Have you ever tried double Dutch jumping? I have, a long time ago. Jaylee's mother is on doctor's orders to lower her blood pressure. So Jaylee is shocked to learn her mother was once a double Dutch champion. A champion in double Dutch jumping? All you're doing is jumping rope. How can you be a champion in that? So to find a way to stand out in her big family, Jayla decides to take up double Dutch jumping herself. And this is in hopes of becoming a champion herself. Jayleen finds out that double Dutch is more than jumping. Does she have what it takes to be a champion herself? Let's find out by reading this book. And again, it's called Jaylee Jumps In by Joy Jones. Ways to Make Sunshine by Renee Watson. Ms. Watson is a Coretta Scott King award-winning author. Ryan is a girl, even if she has a boy's name. Ryan goes through some changes when her dad loses his good-paying job and takes a less-paying job. Ryan also needs to think about school, her self-image, and learn that she does have a talent she can use in the talent show. No matter what Ryan does, she knows she wants to share sunshine with everyone she meets. And again, this is called Ways to Make Sunshine by Renee Watson. This next book is called The Magic in Changing Your Stars by Leah Henderson. Ms. Henderson is a children's Afrikaan book notable author, and this book was a finalist for the Golden Kite Award put out by the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And this is another book about overcoming our fears. Can Ali Benjamin Lane change his fate and those whom he loves by traveling back to 1939? Ali believes he can win the part of the Scarecrow in the play The Wiz, but his fears get the best of him. Feeling defeated, he turns to his grandfather, who has a pair of shoes once owned by the famous dancer Bill Bojangles Robinson. When Ali tries on those shoes, he is whisked back to Harlem of the 1930s. There, Ali meets his sweet dancing grandfather. But what is Ali to do? If he changes the past, will he be able to get back to the here and now and still find himself? This book features a cast of all African-American characters and contains many references to Black culture and history. So let's journey and find out how things work out for Ali and his family. And I really liked the information about the culture and history. So, and it's a fiction, made up story, but has a lot of good points in it. So about culture and history. Anyway, again, this book is called The Magic in Changing Your Stars by Leah Henderson. Okay. Now, my next book is called Isaiah Dunn is My Hero by Kelly J. Baptist. And that's J as in John, the letter John, the letter J, not the word J-J-Y. Anyway, this is Miss Baptist's full novel, although she wrote a short story called The Beans and Rice Chronicles of Isaiah Dunn, which won the inaugural We Need Diverse Books contest and is included in Flying Lesson and Other Stories. And PGC, Prince George County, does own that book that I just mentioned, Flying Lessons and Other Stories. The Horn Book magazine says, in this moving tale of life, loss, and the love of words, Isaiah learns that perseverance and vulnerability are real superpowers, and that family and community are real win beneath a superhero's cape. Since Isaiah's father's death, his family has suffered. His mother struggles with alcohol addiction, leading to homelessness. Isaiah loves to write poetry, yet since his dad's death, Isaiah can't put the words on the page. Isaiah gets a lot of bullying from classmates, gets in trouble at school, and seems to be losing his best friend, Sneaky. In the end, can Isaiah start writing again? And can his mom get the treatment she needs for her addiction? Find out by reading this wonderful book. And again, this is called Isaiah Dunn is My Hero by Kelly J. Baptist. And I'm going to talk about another book of hers. This one is called The Swag is in the Socks. Xavier Moon is not one to steal the show. In fact, he'd rather play his video games or watch the neighborhood talk outside. But for Xavier's 12th birthday, he receives a pair of funky socks and a challenge from his great uncle, Frankie Bell, saying it's time to swag out and speak up. First on the list, get into the legendary Spectre League. Xavier's grandfather, great-grandfather, and father were all invited to join the Elite Boys after-school club that admits only the most savvy and confident young men. Xavier has never had the courage to apply before, but his wild socks are getting him some big attention. So maybe it's time to come out of the shadow and follow in his family's footsteps. Or maybe Xavier can march down a new path altogether. And again, this book is called The Swag is in the Socks by Kelly J. Baptist. Simon B. Ryman by Dwayne Reed. Mr. Reed is a Chicago teacher whose virtual back-to-school music video, Welcome to the Fourth Grade, took the internet by storm. In fact, he wants to inspire young readers to use their voice to create change in their communities. Simon Barnes dreams of becoming a world-famous rapper, but now he's in 5th grade, small for his age, and afraid to use his voice. Simon lays low at school until his new teacher assigns the class an oral presentation of something that affects their community. Now, Simon has to face his fears. Can he rap his way to an A to prove that one kid can make a difference? Come read this story to find out what Simon feels his community needs and how he can make a change for the positive to his community. And again, this book is called Simon B. Ryman by Dwayne Reed. Now, this book is called Leaving Lyman by Lisa Klein Ramsey. Miss Klein Ramsey is a recipient of a Coretta Scott King Writing Honor and a winner of the Scott Odell Award for Historical Fiction. And this book is actually the second in a trilogy called Finding Lanston. That's the name of the series. But you don't need to read the first story to understand this one. Each one is a standalone book. You ever wonder what it makes a bully? Are they born or made that way? Lyman's mother left him when he was a baby. His father is in prison and his beloved grandfather has just died. Now Lyman is uprooted 3 different times in the pursuit of a home. This story explores grief, resilience, and the circumstances that can drive a boy to become a bully and offer a chance of redemption. Can Lyman learn to trust himself and his family again? Let's find out. And again, this is called Leaving Lyman by Lisa Klein Ramsey. Okay. Gloomtown by Robert L. Smith. Mr. Smith lives in Baltimore and has won the Coretta Scott King John Steptoe New Talent Award. So another local author. 12-year-old Rory realizes he must find a job to help his mother pay the rent. So he applies for a job at a spooky old mansion in his gloomy seaside town, only to find the owner, Lord Foxglove, odd, unpleasant, and trying to steal the town people's shadows. Rory and his friend Isabella must stop at nothing to discover the why and hopefully defeat Lord Foxglove and his cohorts. Will Rory and Isabella have enough time to accomplish their mission and restore the town back to the former bright days? Join the two in their journey in this delightful, creepy novel filled with magic and seafaring mythology. And again, this book is called Gloomy Town by Ronald L. Smith. Okay, so I have another book here by a local author. This book is called Stunt Boy in the Meantime by Jason Reynolds, and he lives in Baltimore. I like this book because I like the inside of the way it's written, because no matter your reading style, I think this book offers something for everybody. Ta-ta. Just by looking at Portico Reeves, you'd never think the superhero, which is Portico-like, which is how Portico likes it. He just wants to make sure the superhero stays super. In fact, he's the reason the cat has 9 lives. Portico has another secret. His parents fight constantly, which causes him to worry because he'll have to save them. But first, Portico needs to figure out how. With all his worries or his anxieties, as his mother calls his feelings, Portico has an arch nemesis who wants to prove there is nothing super about Portico at all. So let's find out if he can keep his superpowers and help his parents stop fighting. And again, this is called Stunt Boy in the Meantime by Jason Reynolds. And Mr. Reynolds has written a lot of other good books. Okay, my next book here is called Forever This Summer by Leslie C. Youngblood. Miss Youngblood is a critically acclaimed author. And this book is about identity, standing up for what's right, and a family with seemingly many secrets. Georgie doesn't know what to expect when she, her mama, her sister Peaches all land in Bogalusa, Louisiana for the summer. Georgie's mama needs to help Georgie's great Aunt V, who has dementia. Georgie longs to help at her family's restaurant, where she meets foster kid Marky, who has a limb difference and a huge attitude. Georgie finally finds her summer has purpose when Marky wants Georgie's help in finding her own mother. But how can she help Marky when her own mama won't let her go anywhere? Let's find out how Georgie can help find the answers to the family secret and set the record straight. And again, this is called Forever This Summer by Leslie C. Youngblood. And that's C is in the letter standing for cat, not the word C. Okay. This next book is called Playing the Cards You're Dealt by Varian Johnson. Keeping secrets from anyone, especially family, are always a gamble. Anthony, or Ant, as his friends and family call him, finally makes it to 10 years old, or double digits as he likes to call it. Why? Well, now he gets to play in the card tournament called Spades. If you don't know about Spades, the book goes into a great deal of explaining it. So, and I've never played, so I can't make a comment. At school, all Ant's friends worry about grades and girls. All Ant wants is to live up to his father's expectation at the card table. Ant doesn't know what to do when his friend/card player gets grounded and can't play in the tournament. Should he ask Shirley to play with him? Will that put too much strain on his other friendships? Ant decides to keep their playing together a secret, but Ant isn't the only Joplin man keeping secrets. His father is hiding one so big it may tear their family apart. Please read this story to see if friendships and family can stay together. And again, this is called Playing the Cards You're Dealt by Varian Johnson. Okay, now, this next book is called Marcus Makes a Movie by an author I know you all know who he is. His name is Kevin Hart. Yes, Mr. Funny Man. He is an award-winning actor, comedian, and author. And if you haven't heard, Forbes magazine named him the king of comedy. So anyway, Marcus likes writing his graphic toothpick superhero stories. So when his parents initially signed him up for after-school care in a film movie class, Marcus is anything but thrilled. But Marcus suddenly realized his movie can be about what? That's right, toothpick superhero. Problem? Marcus doesn't know what he's doing, has no money and no camera. Can Marcus hustle enough to make his film? Only one way to find out. Yep, by reading this funny story. And again, it's called Marcus Makes a Movie by Kevin Hart. Okay. This book is called Take Back the Block by Crystal D. Giles. Ms. Giles is an author and advocate for diversity and representation in children's books. Wes has to spend his 11th birthday protesting a new development with his community activist mother. Wes can think of other places he'd rather be instead of melting in the heat. When he sees a news van arrive, Wes can only think of one thing: hide. After all, what would his friends think seeing him protest? He lives in a tight-knit community, and no one wants to see their neighborhood torn down to make way for an upscale apartments and houses. Can the protesters stop the changes? And then what happens when another developer eyes another neighborhood? Wes is a reliable, funny narrator, and I know you will enjoy reading this book. And again, this book is called Take Back the Block by Crystal D. Giles. Okay, now this book is called Black Boy Joy, 17 Stories Celebrating Black Boyhood. And it's edited by Kwame Valley, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Sorry if I'm not. And this celebrates the joys of Black boyhood with stories from 17 bestsellers, critically acclaimed Black authors, including Jason Reynolds, someone I just told you a book about, and Jerry Craft. Black Boy Joy is saving the universe in an epic intergalactic race, finding your voice and your rhymes during tough times, flying on your skateboards like nobody's watching, getting the opportunity to pick out your own new first day school outfit, and more. From 17 acclaimed Black male and non-binary authors, we have another powerful collection of stories, comics, and poems about the power of joy and the wonders of Black boyhood. So please read this great stories in one book, Black Boy Joy, 17 Stories Celebrating Black Boyhood. This next book is called From the Desk of Zoe Washington by Janae Marks. I'm going to start with two of the reviews I found for this book. From the School Library Journal, they said this book is a smart, necessary, and a hopeful middle debut that expertly balances a gentle, heartwarming tone with searing insight into fantastic racism. And then from the bulletin of the Center for Children's Books, they say, Ms. Marks delivers a spirit-centered character whose determination to get the truth is admirable. And involving family story, this novel can also serve as an introduction to social justice for elementary schoolers. After Zoe gets a letter from her father, Marcus, she doesn't know what to write because Marcus is a man she's never met. He's in prison for a crime Marcus says he never committed. Zoe wants to uncover the truth, yet she knows everyone lies. Walk with Zoe as she learns about inequity in the social justice system and see if she can find a way to help her father. And again, this book is called From the Desk of Zoe Washington by Janae Marks. This book is called Fast Pitch by Nick Stone. Shanice Lockwood, captain of the Fulton Firebirds, is hyper-focused when she steps up to the plate. Nothing can stop her from leading her team to the U12 Fast Pitch Softball Regional Championship. But life has some other curveballs coming her way. Strike one. As a sole team of all brown faces, Shanice and the Firebirds have to work twice as hard to prove that Black girls belong at bat. Strike two, Shanice's family gets shaken when her great-uncle Jack reveals that a career-ending and family name-ruining crime may have been a setup. Strike three, broken focus means mistakes on the field. And Shanice, her teammates are beginning to wonder if she's captain qualified. It's up to Shanice to discover the truth about her family past and fast before secrets take the Firebirds out of the game forever. And again, this is called Fast Pitch by Nick Stone. Now, we know that Juneteenth is coming up, and I just want to mention a couple children's books. There are a lot of other books out there for adults, and there's a number of books for children. These are just the ones I happen to pick out. All different now. Juneteenth, the first day of freedom. And this is by Angela Johnson. And these books are just books that I want to bring your attention to because they're good books. Again, this book is called All Different Now by Angela Johnson. This next book, Celebrating Holidays, Juneteenth. It's put out by Scholastics. And again, it's just, I want to bring your attention to it. Juneteenth, Celebrating Holidays. Now, here's another book called Juneteenth, and it's by Emily Dahlbear. And then the last book I want to point out, again, is Celebrating Holidays, and they're Celebrating Juneteenth by Joni, Jensen, Schaefer. And again, this is called Celebrating Juneteenth by Joni, Jensen, Schaefer. And we have a lot of other books about Juneteenth that you can find in our catalog, so you can check them out. I want to thank everyone for joining me. Thank you, and I hope that you will all pick out these books I talked about because they're really good books. Thank you for joining me for another Children's Readers Advisory.